from the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics. This is Sports Extra.
This year, UNC has been through quarterback changes, NCAA tournament heartbreak, and more. But UNC teams and athletes still have managed to awe and intrigue. Welcome to the end of semester edition of Sports Extra. I'm Delia D'Ambra.
And I'm Madison Way. As the fall season of Carolina athletics comes to a close, so must the fall season of Sports Extra. But we have our favorite UNC sports stories to hold you over until we return. This is UNC sports we're talking about, so it only feels right to start off talking about basketball. UNC knows a little something about basketball championships, and now one of its coaches knows a little something about presidential medals too. Luis Fernandez reports.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom. Smith was among a highly decorated group that earned the honor this year, including President Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, and Chicago Cubs legend Ernie Banks. Coach Dean Smith joins the ranks of other college coaches like John Wooden, Pat Summitt, and Bear Bryant, who have won the Presidential Medal of Freedom from the guy who lives right over there. While Smith's accomplishments on the court are some of the best of all time, President Barack Obama said it was his off-the-court accomplishments that define him.
We also honor his courage in helping to change our country. He recruited the first black scholarship athlete to North Carolina and helped integrate a restaurant and a neighborhood in Chapel Hill.
Current UNC head coach Roy Williams, who was at the ceremony on Wednesday, agrees.
Coach Smith was, you've heard me say this before, he's the best there ever was, in my opinion, on the basketball court, and he was far better off the court.
The 82-year-old Smith couldn't be at the ceremony because of a progressive neurocognitive disorder that affects his memory. Smith's wife of 37 years, Dr. Linnea Smith, was there to accept the award on his behalf. Smith's absence took an emotional toll on those close to him, including Williams.
I was really struggling when I sat down as to how I was going to handle it, because I was so thrilled for the event, but was so sad that Coach couldn't be there to enjoy it and understand everything that was going on, because I think deep down he would have really been proud of this.
Even with his health failing, this medal symbolizes all the hard work Coach Dean Smith has put in throughout his life. His legend lives on. Reporting from the White House, I'm Luis Fernandez.
Michael Jordan recently told a newspaper writer that the greatest thing about Dean Smith is that he treated all players equally. He was like a father to all of them. So he's not as high profile as Dean Smith, but this UNC player is definitely bigger than the Tar Heel icon.
Ryan O'Rourke introduces us to one of the biggest guys on the Carolina court.
Growing up as one of 11 children in a single-parent household, Joel James took it upon himself to be the dad in the house. But once he began playing basketball, he turned to his high school coach for the paternal guidance he never had.
My high school coach really was like the driving force behind me playing, and the reason why I stuck with it. I looked at Coach Ross somewhat as like a father figure. I spent so much time with him because I just wanted to learn as much about basketball as I could.
James didn't start playing basketball competitively until he was 16 years old, and felt his lack of experience was evident in his freshman year at UNC.
It's like a roller coaster. I had a lot of highs, had a lot of lows.
Even though James is hundreds of miles away from home, he says his brothers on the court have helped with his transition to college.
It's a great relationship. We all see each other as brothers. They play with a lot of passion and fire every day, practice with a lot of passion and fire. But when it's game time, it gets pretty serious. We all know what we have to do.
James said he spent countless hours in the gym this summer in order to become a more dominant presence in the post. But although improving his own game is a priority, he says hanging another championship banner is the ultimate goal.
There's enough space. I was thinking about the other day, you just got to slide that one over just a little bit, or you can offset something up there, but there's enough space to add another one up there.
James knows such a feat won't come easy.
Anything is possible if you play as a team, play as one unit. Obviously, those guys believed in each other like no one else did.
And believing in his teammates is something James has done from the start. In Chapel Hill, I'm Ryan O'Rourke.
James played in 30 games and had 3 starts in his freshman season. The UNC football team had plenty of drama off the field this year, too.
Former NC Central University quarterback Michael Johnson and Willie Barley, who worked for a sports agency, were charged with numerous counts of athlete agent inducement in connection to the UNC football scandal. Carly Swanson has the story.
Johnson made his first appearance before a judge at the county courthouse. He faces 3 counts of athlete agent inducement.
First, I'd like to call the court's attention to the matter of Michael Johnson.
Johnson is accused of violating the state's sports agent laws in 2010 by giving Georgia-based sports agent Terry Watson a location to meet former UNC football player Greg Little. During that meeting, Watson gave Little $5,000. Johnson is also accused of providing Watson with a location to send 2 packages to Little, each containing $100. His attorney, Bill Young, spoke on his behalf.
Johnson was an extraordinary student athlete, not associated with or affiliated with or working for any agency at all.
Under the Uniform Athlete Agents Act, agents are not allowed to give anything of value to a student athlete until the athlete has officially signed with the agency.
My view of this statute is it's designed to protect any student athlete from the grips of an agent. Period.
District Attorney Jim Whittle said in an in-depth investigation by the Secretary of State's office, it shows Johnson helped an agent entice Little, which is not allowed.
It's to protect the person being induced. We're not alleging that this defendant was being induced.
3 others also face charges in this case, including former tutor to football players Jennifer Wiley Thompson, Georgia-based realtor Patrick Jones, and Willie Barley, who worked for Watson's agency.
Anytime someone's charged with a crime, it's a serious matter.
The charge of athlete agent inducement is the lowest level felony, and the 5 people don't have any prior criminal record in the state, so they would likely receive probation and a fine.
Of the 5 people charged, Michael Johnson is the only former student athlete. They're all set to appear back in court on December 17th. And Julius Nyongoro, a former UNC faculty member, was also indicted in early December.
There's nothing better than catching up with old friends while eating a hot dog at halftime. At least that's what Carolina football lettermen think. Paige Comparado looked beyond the metal gates into a room built upon tradition.
On the South Concourse of Kenan Stadium, there's a halftime home for Carolina football lettermen. This is the Charlie Choo Choo Justice Lounge, created in honor of the great number 22. The walls of the lounge document Carolina football history, covered in team photos dated all the way back to the 1800s, plaques with the names of every coach, every bull name listed on the windows, and even pictures of fans back in the day. Lettermen and their families scour the team photos looking for familiar faces. Mel Lewis earned his letter as a trainer in the late 60s. And now he's the official host of the lounge.
There are an awful lot of man hugs in here. As guys see each other, that maybe they saw them the last week, but maybe they haven't seen a teammate for 30 years. And they happen to be at this game, and they know they can come here and have a chance to see their old teammates.
Don McCauley is one of the former pro players you might catch in the lounge. He was UNC's star running back from 1968 to 70.
I went off into the NFL with the Baltimore Colts for 11 years, and with the intent of always coming back someday and kind of giving my best for the school that did so much for me.
The Letterman's Lounge wasn't always located here, and Lewis and McCauley have worked hard to find just the right place. The first lounge came into being in 1988. And McCauley said former UNC coach Mack Brown was a big proponent of finding a place to link players from different eras together. So what do they talk about other than catching up?
Now they're still competitive, and they'll say, well, in my day we could have beat them, or we were better or faster and stuff.
Overall, the lounge is for recognition of everything Carolina football lettermen have accomplished.
The secret is to make from any era, whether you were a cheerleader or the first-string All-American, that we're all part of the football program here, and you're welcome to come by at halftime and get a hot dog.
Don McCauley told Paige that the wonderful part of reminiscing with former teammates is that the older they get, the better they used to be. And I suppose they've earned the right to look at things that way.
Most college students love Twitter, and one group of managers is using Twitter to connect fans to one of UNC's most famous teams.
We introduce you to the team behind UNC manager Probs when Sports Xtra returns.
Connect with us online by liking the Sports Xtra Facebook page and following us on Twitter @SportsExtra_UNC.
A diagnosis of breast cancer changes your life forever.
She told me I needed a mastectomy.
I was scared.
Absolutely in shock.
But you need to know that you're not alone. There are teams of medical professionals, support groups, and therapists, and those who can help you plan for life after cancer. Before you undergo surgery for breast cancer, get the facts. Make sure you know your breast reconstruction options. For more information, visit broaddayusa.org.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. Let them have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Good job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
The women's soccer team wouldn't be able to practice, travel, or compete without a little help from the team's managers. And the group doesn't just do work on the sidelines. Kelly Glendenning reports.
The women's soccer team is often called one of the greatest dynasties in college athletics. The team's success can be attributed to high-energy players, a fantastic fan base, and an excellent coaching staff. But one key part of their dominance that often is overlooked is the women's soccer managers. The managers work tirelessly to make sure the players have everything they need to practice and perform at the highest level.
Cones around practice, and we just try to be there for the team, make sure the cones are in the right spot, make sure everything's set up perfectly for the games, and we think it makes an impact. Usually when we have the cones down right, we win.
In addition to setting up cones and shagging balls at practices and games, the managers also run a Twitter account so fans can keep up with the team's adventures. UNC Manager Probs has nearly 700 followers. From photos of away game travel to dressing up for the game on Halloween, the managers keep the team laughing on and off the field.
Make practice fun. They always make it exciting. When the team's down, they know exactly what to say to bring you up.
Although it's called UNC Manager Probs, not everything on the Twitter account is a problem. The managers routinely travel with the team and even get some leisure time along the way for their hard work.
I think my favorite one, it was probably just like the last year in the national championship game, showing us all on the beach, just having a good time. Just because it was one day we didn't have a problem. It was after we won. So
the defending national champions love what the managers do and hope the support helps them to yet another national title.
Well, that's always good.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Kelly Glendenning reporting.
You can follow the managers on Twitter at UNC Manager Probs, spelled with a Z. UNC has 40 NCAA Division I national team championships, and more than half of those trophies come from one team, women's soccer.
The team is famous for turning players into national champions, and selecting the right Tar Heels is the first step to success. Reporter Janelle Davis has the story.
Mia Hamm, Christine Lilly, Heather O'Reilly. They're soccer players girls dream of becoming. Girls like Taylor Otto.
These are people that are on TV. You watch them play all the time. You grow up watching them and it's crazy.
Otto is now a high school sophomore, but soon she'll be just like her idols, a Tar Heel. The team offered her a position on the UNC roster when she was just a freshman in high school.
It's a crazy experience, and I'm so excited for it because not a lot of people get the opportunity.
There are 1.5 million young female soccer players in the U.S., but UNC recruits fewer than a dozen players a year. Otto's coach, Rusty Scarborough, has seen the sport become more competitive.
The top players are going to be the top players, but right now there's so many of the middle-level players that are getting better and better and better, that the game of soccer in this country has just elevated so much in the last 10 years.
This steep competition threatens the team's reign of collegiate soccer. There are more than 300 Division I schools competing for top players. That's where UNC utilizes Chris Ducar, the program's recruiting coordinator.
These players have to be on, because I might only get a chance to see them one time and make a decision. So that is incredibly stressful for them.
So what does it take to get on this man's radar?
On top of raw talent, we like them to enhance that by having competitive fire, discipline, and self-belief.
Coach Scarborough thinks Otto meets Ducar's standards.
Taylor Otto is just a a specimen, right? She's actually playing a year up right now.
And that's not all. She's played in countless college showcases across the country, and this month got selected as one of 20 players on the U.S. squad for the upcoming U17 Women's Championships in Jamaica. This future Tar Heel has big cleats to fill when she joins the team in 2017, but she's excited to take on the challenge. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Janelle Davis.
The recruiting process isn't competitive for athletes only. It's also competitive for schools. 5 out of the past 6 recruits that have considered UNC and Duke have chosen the Blue Devils. The silver lining, Duke has never won a national championship, while UNC has racked up 21.
Being recruited to UNC is enough cause for celebration, but what about playing for 2 teams? Especially the 2 teams that have just won national championships. There's a player who's pulling that off.
Women's soccer and lacrosse. They're UNC's 2 defending national championship teams, and this freshman is competing for both of them. Her name's Maggie Bill, and according to Inside Lacrosse, she's the #2 women's lacrosse player in the nation. But she wants to be #1, in the NCAA, that is.
And just looking at pictures and videos of both teams winning the championship really kind of gives me the chills. I want to be a part of that.
And it's a video that first got UNC's lacrosse coaches talking about Bill, an injured midfielder out of Long Island. Lacrosse head coach Jenny Levy said Bill was out with a knee injury when she first came across a recruiting video Bill's brother had made. The film made quite the impression.
She was an absolute beast on the field. She closed space, her speed, her agility, her presence. You couldn't miss her. They didn't need to circle her on the video. It was some game footage, and most of the time those game footage are huge snoozers. They're hard to watch, and you're like, oh. But Maggie was amazing. And to this day, it's the most amazing video that I've ever watched.
Bill was considering other schools, like lacrosse powerhouse Northwestern, but the chance to play for 2 storied programs was too tempting.
Bill isn't the first Carolina athlete to play both women's lacrosse and women's soccer. She is, however, the first to come into the programs after both won national championships.
So how busy is this 2-sport Tar Heel?
I am busy a lot, but I definitely find time to relax a little bit and just kind of wind down from my crazy schedule.
That crazy schedule includes practice, games on Thursdays and Sundays, and working on stick skills during her days off. It sounds like a lot, but Bill, who played 3 sports in high school, says she's managing.
I've been doing this my whole life. It's definitely different here with the intensity, but just being used to having a crazy schedule in high school, and even before that, I'm just kind of used to it.
One thing she'll have to get used to if she plans to play with these Tar Heels for the next 4 years, competing for national titles. Bill and the rest of the women's soccer team are out of the running for a national title in soccer, but Bill still has a shot at a ring when she takes the field with the lacrosse team in January. Most of UNC's student body is from North Carolina, and a minority of students are from out of state.
Then there are the student athletes who travel across the world just to be Tar Heels. We have their stories next on Sports Extra.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Well, come on, man.
to know how and why UNC teams recruit international athletes?
Our Ben Walsh wanted to find out what makes international athletes so appealing, especially the Carolina field hockey team.
The number 3 ranked UNC field hockey team currently has 6 international players on the roster. Head coach Karen Shelton says the extra experience the international players bring helps a lot.
Most of the students, kids, boys and girls, start at a younger age. So they tend to have a little bit better expertise. They tend to be more skillful, particularly on the offensive end, but just a little bit more developed hockey brain, as we like to call it.
Assistant coach Guy Catho explained that international players have a different style compared to their American counterparts.
The Dutch, for example, very fast, very direct, very skillful. Same as the Argentinian players. The British players, kind of a hybrid between the Germans and the Dutch. So everybody's got a different style, so it does help with adding a little bit extra to the team.
One of the international players is senior forward Sinead Loughran. Loughran is from Dublin, Ireland, and says her dad helped her end up in Chapel Hill, wearing Carolina blue for the Tar Heels.
So my junior year of high school, he said, okay, go over to the camp and see how you like it. And I absolutely loved it. Coach got to see me play. I got to play with several of the players who already play here, who already were playing here. And, you know, I loved it from then on out. And coach said, yeah, I could give you a spot in the team. So that was it was good. It wasn't scholarship based. It was just, you know, you can walk on.
Shelton says that this idea of players recruiting themselves isn't unusual when it comes to the international athletes.
Most of the time they initiate contact because, again, they're the ones that have to be interested. It's a long, kind of complicated process that takes some time.
It seems like international players are worth the investment. No team since 1997 has won the Field Hockey National Championship without the help of foreign imports. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Ben Wolf.
One volleyball player traveled almost 5,000 miles to come play for Carolina. Reporter Kelly Glendenning has her story.
In the halls of the Keenan Flagger Business School, you expect to see graduate students from around the world. But one thing you might not come across often is someone who's also a varsity athlete. International student and volleyball player Jovana Bielica splits her time between crunching numbers in the business school and killing sets on the volleyball court.
I have classes all day and then I'm running to practice, but it's doable. I guess it's doable. You can do everything when you manage your time well.
Jovana's story began in Belgrade, Serbia, where she played on the junior Serbian national team from 2006 to 2008. She then took her talents to Florida International University, where she reached 972 kills in just 3 years, while managing to be on the Sun Belt Conference academic honor roll. With 1 year of eligibility left, Jovana moved to Chapel Hill, and head coach Joe Segula says she is already leaving her mark on the team.
Herself of being a newcomer for the team, and everybody really has welcomed her, and she's fit in really, really well. You have to have both those things to happen. You know, if you're not well, a big part of the team and being good, it may not work out. But we've got, I think, the best of both.
Jovana isn't the only outstanding athlete in her family. She's proud to follow in her parents' footsteps, and her mom's athletic success motivates her to achieve her own goals.
She was a runner for Yugoslavian national team, so I'm competing with her to be better, to have better results than she had. So it does motivate me. I want to satisfy them, myself, and the whole family.
After obtaining her master's in accounting, Jovana sees herself either working for a major company or possibly continuing her volleyball career. As for right now, she's just happy to be wearing Carolina blue. In Chapel Hill, I'm Kelly Glendenning reporting.
Bielica and the Tar Heels face Cal in the first round of the NCAA tournament. What can fill up the blue zone when the football team is playing out of town?
Catherine Fitzgerald has the answer.
The first Carolina Sport, Business, and Fitness Expo attracted a big crowd. The day started with panel discussions about opportunities in collegiate athletics, professional sports, and the fitness industry, as well as a keynote speech by Tar Heel alum Phil Ford. Members of the Carolina Sport Business Club, Sarah Pellegrino and David Fox, headed up the planning of the expo. The club's goal is to help students pursue a career in the sports industry.
For being a business student wanting to work in sports or fitness, there was not that one event that brought it all together for me. I saw it as an opportunity to really leave something here that would help students in the future going forward, to network, to put business and fitness and sports in the same blue zone, in the same place.
Attendees were able to meet with representatives from the U.S. Olympic Committee, the Carolina Hurricanes, USA Baseball, and a number of other organizations during the career fair. It was a great chance to swap resumes for business cards and network with professionals in the industry.
I think what a lot of the speakers drilled home was the importance of knowing what you want to do, going out and do it, and building relationships. And you don't just like sports, you like sports business. And I think that's a huge takeaway.
And the networking opportunity was unmatched. In Chapel Hill, I'm Catherine Fitzgerald.
The club is already looking ahead to next year and starting to think about speakers and panelists to bring in. It's no secret there are a lot of club sports at UNC, and this one is hot to try.
We travel to the stables and horse around when Sports Extra returns.
Don't forget to tune in to our sister shows, Carolina Week at 5 p.m. every Wednesday on Time Warner 24 or Campus Channel 34, and Carolina Connection at 8:30 every Saturday morning on WCHL 97.9 FM.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
UNC has 23 Olympic sports teams.
And one six-legged Carolina club sport is leaps and bounds ahead of its competition.
Stylish shoes, ankle braces, and pads. Gear almost every athlete wears. Equestrian Club co-captain Kelly McGinnis says just one element makes her sport special, though.
There's something about the camaraderie between people who love horses. We just get it.
And getting it is exactly what the team does every year. They're ranked second overall for their region and placed in nearly every show they compete in.
To come from a school that doesn't specialize in equestrian, to only be beat by the one school that does, is impressive.
Careful preparation is key to impressing. The four-legged athletes get brushed, buffed, and properly saddled before every ride. Freshman Sierra Homer enjoys all aspects of showing and couldn't pass up the chance to join.
I've been riding since I was 5, and I knew coming to college that I wanted to be somehow involved in horses, and this was like the perfect opportunity.
An opportunity that changes how Homer experiences the sport.
Normally it's not a team sport, it's very individualized, so having this team makes it like a whole different level than it was for me before.
A key player for the team this year is one of its four-legged athletes, a thoroughbred quarter-horse crossbreed named Gatsby.
He's funny because he'll fall asleep in the barn, and he's sleeping on cross ties when you're tacking him up and you get him out to the ring. But he's not lazy when you ride him. He's very nice to ride.
After a full day of practice and fighting off flies, he looks forward to what all athletes do.
Gatsby's treat at the end of every ride is usually getting a shower and taking a nap.
Building strong bonds with the horses, as well as the people, is something McGinnis says makes the club enjoyable.
It's really fun. It's a social club as well as a highly competitive sport, which I think makes it very unique.
Unique and highly successful.
You know, Madison, I used to ride horses a lot as a kid, and that story just brought back a lot of memories for me. It was really fun.
It did look like a lot of fun to report. Well, that does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching.
Good night.
You know, Madison, I used to ride horses. I'm talking to you. You should probably look at me.
We all know music can pump up a crowd, and UNC football is taking that to a whole new level. Susanna Black introduces us to the master of music in Kenan Stadium. You can also catch DJ Forge at Top of the Hill.